Hi, I'm Mark Bosnich and welcome to Alpha Magazine. I remember being told the day before by Sir Alex Ferguson that you'd be playing against Wimbledon. And I remember him also saying, now we're going to see if all that Aussie bravado can be put into practice or whether or not you'll bottle it against Big John Fashionere.
What happened?
I put it into practice, didn't bottle it, 0-0. There was one game again against Manchester United when I was playing for Aston Villa at Old Trafford when we were both going for the inaugural Premier League title. That was a 1-1 against Cantona and so forth. That was a really good game. Another one for Manchester United against Leeds. Again, it was a pivotal game because both of us were going for the title at Ellen Road against Harry and Big Mark Viduka. And another one for Chelsea against Leeds. Neither of us are going for the title, just needed the points. It was earlier on in the season. So those are probably the three that stand out just off the top of my head. The best I've ever made. I like to think about these because people will go, oh, you must have made so many to think about it. If I just sit off the top of my head, you go, oh, look, he hasn't made many. There was actually one that, funny enough, come across my mind last night. I don't know why. I think I was watching an EPL Classic match on Fox. And there was the old Chelsea team playing, not the old, but said the mid-90s Chelsea team. And I remember one, it was at Villa Park, and we actually lost the game. Ruud Gullit was playing. There was a corner that come across from Dennis Wise near post corner, and Ruud Gullit flipped it on. And somebody come, and as I was going across the goal, and somebody come and hit it back the other way. And somehow, as I was going that way, I stuck out the hand and it just went over the bar. There was that one. There was another one in FA Cup tie at Villa Park against Coventry when I dived, and there was a deflection off Hugo, and in mid-air I somehow got my leg to it. And those are probably that stick out, the two that probably stick out, yeah. Favourite all-time teammate, I'd be lying if even though I haven't spoken to him for quite a considerable time, unfortunately, it was Dwight Yorke. We came at a very early time. We were both from cricket-loving nations, and it was funny because in 1991, just before I had to leave Manchester United, we played in the World Youth Tournament in Portugal. It was under 20s, I think it was. And in our group was, lo and behold, Trinidad and Tobago. And I played against him in a couple of reserve games when I was at Manchester United and he was at Aston Villa. And then basically 8 months later, I walk into the dressing room and who's in my corner? It's Dwight. And we beat Trinidad that day 2-0. So we become very, very close. And then we we did basically make the move together to Manchester United. They were in contact with me well beforehand to ask me about him and so forth. And it was a shame then, for whatever reason, I spoke to you guys about that we had a little bit of a falling out. I saw him, I think it was last November, just briefly, but yeah, definitely from the time I was there, he was my best teammate. Sir Alex Ferguson, what can I say? He signed me as a young kid, pretty much gave me the opportunity to, you can say, finish my footballing education at one of the best places in the world to do so. It's the equivalent of probably going to Cambridge or Oxford as a student. And then re-signed me again. I don't think it would have achieved what I achieved in the game if it wasn't for him showing that initial faith in me and belief and giving me that opportunity. And it was unfortunate how things panned out at the place at the time, but that's a whole totally different story. You just got to focus on the most positive things, which is the fact that he signed me twice and he had a great deal to play in my football and education and shaping the way I think about football. Sometimes you look back at certain periods and certain clubs, even just beginning as an apprentice, doing the jobs around, it may sound a little bit mundane to your normal person, having to clean toilets and clean players' boots, but it was real fun, with young lads from not only all over Britain, but all around the world. That was a really enjoyable time, growing up, in Manchester, coming from Sydney. There were times at Aston Villa when we won the 2 trophies, and at Manchester United winning those 2 trophies in the first season, and even at Chelsea, playing with the likes and training with the likes of Zola and people like that, Desailly. It's a wonderful experience, and you look back at the time, you sort of think when you're playing, you have ups and downs, but the biggest miss is when you finish, you realise that every day was a true gift. I would say the worst on-field moment was what happened at Tottenham Hotspurs with the salute. And that was something that, like I said, was a joke that went wrong and taught me a great lesson. And I think it was Oscar Wilde who said, assume many things, but never assume that people have the same sense of humour. And I definitely learned that day. The flagship of soccer in Australia, or football in Australia, is the Socceroos. And it's very, very important that we get that right. And it's very important to Australian people that they see their sporting stars, when they're representing their country, talking and playing in the way that befits being Australian. And you know, we're an old enough country now to know what it is to mean to be Australian. We're a multicultural mix, but the basis and the ground of what it means to be Australian, I think all Australians know what that is. And I think Pim Vervaeke found that out to his cost a little bit in the end. We don't mind if you get beaten, but it's the manner in which you get beaten and the way you conduct yourself. We're always a nation that has a go, and we don't sit back and sort of wait for things to happen. And I think the important thing since Holger's come, he's epitomised that. He's obviously done his research, and also I think his general character suits Australia, and that's what I think we should be thinking of in the future. In terms of players and people that are associated with our game, if we want it to go forward, they've got to fit into the Australian way rather than the other way around.